Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from the Callous Daoboys entitled I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. You know, everyone talks about stuff like the nu metal revival and this new wave of like blackened symphonic deathcore and how every classic metal band is reuniting and getting back on tour and they're still out there and they're still kicking. But you know what I think is genuinely really cool and really great and not a lot of people are talking about? Modern mathcore. Like, I feel like mathcore is honestly in a really cool, great spot right now. So many different bands, old and new, out there making crazy shit, doing crazy shit. You've got Squid Pisser, Mouth Breather, Frontierer, you've got Pupil Slicer. The Dillinger Escape Plan managed to reunite with their original lead singer, and they've been doing Calculating Infinity in its entirety on all of their recent tours. Botch is still out there, and they've been dropping like little EPs and singles here and there as well. I feel like there's a lot of mathcore influence kicking around nowadays as well. Like Piron, for instance, dropped Exhaust last year, one of my favorite metal albums of 2024, and there was a lot of like old school mathcore influence on that, meshed with their usual blend of technical and avant-garde death metal. And then there's the Callous Daoboys, in my opinion the best of the newer, more modern mathcore bands. Their 2022 album Celebrity Therapist caught many a people, including myself, completely off guard. It was weird, it was crazy, it was unhinged, and heavy as all holy hell. And honestly, they've been on a roll ever since then. They dropped another EP, God Smiles Upon the Callous Daoboys, in 2023, also really good, also really great. They did a tour with Protest the Hero a couple years back, which I never got to go to, and I'm still really mad at myself for not going, for not figuring out some way to get there. Huge, colossal fucking L on my part. And like just the other day too, they just announced their first ever headlining North American tour. It's a great time to be the Callous Daoboys. And now they have a brand new album, I Don't Want to See You in Heaven, which, if I'm not mistaken, is their third full-length studio album overall. And I am very comfortable, I feel very confident in saying that this is their weirdest, craziest, most brazen, bizarre, unhinged, and unpredictable album yet. Wow. Yikes. Wow! I'm not even fucking with you, man. Like, this thing is weird. Oftentimes fun weird. I want to make that clear. Like, I really did enjoy this album. I do think sometimes it's a little too weird for its own good, but you know, even in those moments, I'm still kind of glued to this album because it was constantly catching me off guard, constantly throwing curveballs at me, and constantly doing things that I did not expect and could not have possibly have predicted. And I want to be super clear, this isn't really just a mathcore EP. Mathcore is probably still the primary ingredient and influence here, but there's a lot of other stuff going on here as well. Like, this is also equal parts like screamo and emo and post-hardcore music. It has like full-blown kind of pop rock style jams and numbers here and there, some moody hooks and atmospheres here and there as well. And I mean, honestly, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Look at a cut like Schizophrenia Legacy, if you like, if we may. I mean, 1 minute it's throwing these really crazed, really noisy, erratic guitar tones and textures and riffs and stuff at us, and the next it's going into some more moody, kind of somber, almost Maynard James Keenan kind of vocal drawls with nice pungent bassy grooves as well, very reminiscent of Tool or Perfect Circle style alt metal. And then it has these like grinding, churning, angular, unorthodox riffs with like these very in-your-face, ferocious screaming vocals, all kind of like wrapped around a hook that brings to mind like classic day Dillinger Escape Plan, and then it integrates saxophones and wood blocks later on. And then there's Full Moon Guidance, which is big, fat, fucking riff city, population, go fuck yourself. I mean, it is filled with these huge, pounding, groovy, chunky riffs that have so much fucking body, so much fucking weight. It just pounds and pummels consistently and without compromise. Love how it introduces these, like, scratching, screeching, sweeping kind of Gojira-esque guitar bits as well. And I love how it maintains this intensity even as we start to dip our toes into more like clean vocals and more kind of like 2000s emo post-hardcore kind of melodies and such. And Tears on Lambo Leather is just wild. You know what this song feels like? It feels like if you filled a bag with an equal amount of super sweet and super spicy candy, and you don't know if it's gonna be super sweet or spicy until you fucking eat the little bugger. Like, one minute we have these very soft, trancey, atmospheric, almost kind of lo-fi electronic beats with some nice layered minimalistic vocals. It's soft, it's sweet, it's delicate. And then the next minute we have this absolutely crushing, brutal, like metalcore, mathcore that is filled with more electronics and glaring synths, and it's noisy and it's big, and it almost feels like underneath era Code Orange going into more of a mathcore direction. Hell, the assault of, like, guttural gang vocals and, like, super fucking heavy riffage and grooves later on, even for a brief moment, kind of reminds me of some Slipknot shit. The opening of Douchebag Safari really caught me off guard as well, because most of the song is more of this super crazed, frantic, wild, erratic metalcore, mathcore with insane, angular, unorthodox riffs and textures and tones and screaming vocals, but the very beginning here honestly sounds like something I would have heard on a Super Nintendo game back in the day. Like, suddenly I'm playing Donkey Kong 64 or some bullshit like that. And the crazy thing is, these ain't even the craziest cuts on the album. Nuh-uh. No siree fucking Bob. The craziest cuts on this album, or at least two cuts that really wowed me and caught me off guard, would be Lemon and Two-Headed Trout. Two cuts that, frankly, have far more in common sonically and aesthetically with Panic at the Disco than they do with, say, the Dillinger Escape Plan. They both have some fun beats, and they play around with some acoustics, and they play around with some big, bold melodies and harmonies, and yeah, they both still have, like, erratic, weird, totally out-of-pocket moments and such, but, like, yeah, it's still a good, funky, poppy, pop metal time. And I like it. I like these songs a lot. Now, y'all know me, I love all this weirdness, but as I noted before earlier in the review, there are some moments that are a little bit too weird for their own good. I would argue that Body Horror for Birds is one of those moments. At bare minimum, this track, more so than some of the ones we've mentioned, is far more of a grower than it is an immediate shower. It's a very odd cut, opting for a more bare bones and simplistic kind of skeleton that pretty much stays in one spot rather than something more transformative and wild and eclectic. And it kind of sounds like elevator music at times, with these very simplistic, relaxing, calming kind of tones. The way that it introduces like sweeping strings and horns and such later on, and clean vocals as well. It really is, again, kind of like a ballad that's been thrown on top of elevator music. Not really feeling some of the more soulful vocal crooning in this cut either. It's just not very well executed, in my opinion. Even weirder, though, is the closing number, Country Song in Reverse, which I think would unironically make more sense and be more cohesive if it actually was a country song in reverse. Like, this song is filled with more saxophones and brassy horns and, like, drawling psychedelic chords and rhythms and beats, and it also has a section where the band is repeatedly singing out "I love you" in this weird kind of cheap auto-tune, and it has these more quiet kind of contemplative indie rock, alt-rock sections, and it also has these really huge, massive, like full-on metalcore, mathcore, screamo sections as well. And on top of being the closing number on the album, it's also the third part in like a 3-act kind of thing that's stretched out across the entire album. Like right before this, there's Opt Out, which is the second part, which has some narration and some kind of speech about how everything you're about to hear from here on is designed to freak you out and provoke you. And I mean, mission accomplished, Callous Daoboys. Wow. The first part of this 3-song act series as well, known as Collection of Forgotten Dreams, is also what officially opens the album. And there's a lot of talk here about these songs being lost to time, being dreamed up but never really put out there. It almost kind of sounds like something you'd maybe hear on like a guided tour in some kind of science or history museum. And I think they're doing this to intentionally date the album. Like, this is a time capsule of everything that the band is feeling and seeing right now. Feeling musically and also what they're feeling emotionally. There's a lot of anguish and despair and bitterness and crazed kind of outbursts on this album. And it's a very interesting kind of approach, and I look forward to seeing how the Callous Daoboys themselves look back on this album, since they've intentionally dated it and they've framed it in this way. Overall, though, I've really thoroughly enjoyed this album, even in moments that are too weird for its own good. I'm just still kind of fascinated by everything Callous Daoboys is throwing at me, so I'm feeling... fuck it. You know what? I'm feeling a 4 out of 5. Maybe not the strongest 4 out of 5, maybe leaning towards a 3.5 out of 5, but a 4 out of 5 nonetheless. Probably one of the weirdest and craziest albums I've heard so far in 2025, on top of being the weirdest and craziest thing that Callous Daoboys have delivered thus far. I highly recommend it. I recognize that this will not be for everyone. I recognize that a lot of people, because of just how over the top it is, because of how much it's pulling in, because of how much it's doing, a lot of people are going to dismiss it as just being weird, random, stupid, whatever. Too crazy, too this, too that. I get it, I really do. But I mean, if you love mathcore and you've been looking for something that kind of taps into that old school kind of Dillinger Escape Plan kind of mayhem, but, you know, is more modern and brings in all these other ideas as well, this is kind of what you're looking for. And honestly, I think my score could change as time goes on. The more and more I listen to it, the more and more I kind of get to know it and figure out how it works, and more how it works, rather. So yeah. Check it out. Great album. Hell yeah. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Boom, more videos. Join us on Discord. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.